Okay, it's Sunday morning, and I'm getting weirder and weirder in the sense that, like, weird from what I'm usually at within the recent couple of years. I'm actually thinking about just breaking my addiction to Raid. So where are we? We're sitting here at Summer Storm. We've got a mess. And I don't know how much longer I play this because I'm through the rules in something else, and like, I don't know. We'll give this another turn and see how it goes. But we've got the Union First Corps pretty much battered here, trying to escape with Buford's Cav. Merritt's joined them. They're trying to make their way out. 12th Corps is sitting up here, taking up a defensive position. 5th Corps supporting it. 6th Corps up on Culps and Cemetery. We go over to 3rd Corps, which has taken a bit of a beating as well. And I'm having a hard time withdrawing anything from the game, from battlefield positions. The Union Army, I don't know if they make it through the turn. That's one of the facets is if the Confederates don't know how badly hurt the Union morale is, but they should have an idea, right? In terms of the Confederates, though, their army is beginning to wear down. We got Hood here and Pickett over there. Those are still relatively okay. McLaws is not in great shape. Heath and Anderson are in Heath and Pender are in pretty bad shape. Anderson could be pushed forward. He's kind of back here. But I'm trying to finish off First Corps, right? That's sort of my goal, is to take away one big corps from the Union for the rest of the game. Over here, I'm having a lot more trouble with Ewell getting any kind of purchase on the enemy. This nice contiguous line, that's hard to fight. It really is. And, if you think about it, once the Union kind of formed its defensive line, it was hard to break. We got breastworks already built up here on Culps Hill, and some cav kicking back here to extend the line a little bit. 2nd Corps making its way up. Oh yeah, and Stuart. Stuart is somehow delaying Wright's division, just with this little march ahead and whatever. He's trying to get over to the other flank of the Confederate Army. He kind of screwed up by leaving that flank. He was fine there. Cav versus Cav facing wasn't, going to be any kind of problem. But some kind of operations behind the Union infantry back here might be of great help. And plus the fact that First Corps is disintegrating, having a bunch of cav on that flank would be helpful. But anyway, and I've got a few Confederate cav units kicking around off board, doing whatever, protecting a supply wagon basically. All right, I guess it's on to the command phase. It's been a while since I've played. I don't know, it's going to be clunky. Personal stuff before. So some of it was stuff that kicked off last week. Hanging out with someone the day afterwards, thinking about that. And just, I don't know, somehow that just changed my perspective on life in a lot of ways. Not that I really want to hang out with this person terribly. I enjoyed it. But, whatever. The other side of it is, and I haven't enjoyed interactions with humans very much for a long time. The other thing that happened is Friday, I got contacted by one of my prior coworkers. Now, she's tried before, and things didn't work out. but to hire me, into a role beneath her. And I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Like, I've got to make my decision today, basically, as to whether or not to at least pursue. It's only a contract job. I don't know if I'm even capable. Like, I've been away for so long that I don't really remember how to do shit. You know? And I don't know. Part of me is just like, look, you made your decision on retiring. Just fucking keep going with it. Yeah, it just feels like it's too far in the past. But I'm still toying with the idea because, money would be nice. Trying to remember the situation here. Whether or not I had the high heat on last turn. I'm going to leave it on hazy. That affects the artillery fire and whatnot, but I have this vague suspicion that I haven't rolled weather, and weather should have gone down by one automatically. Not what it is, but anyway, we'll move on. Said the rebels are not in great shape. Lee only got a couple of points to spend. He had a couple excess here that were assigned. And what I ended up doing is putting Early and Rhodes on attack. This is sort of a last gasp to do some damage to Third Corps more than anything else. Early's not really facing it, but if I shift over a little bit, I might be able to kind of smack into him, put him mostly out of commission. At that point, I think Second Corps for the Confederates is used. And some of this is the effects of the heat, which probably shouldn't have even happened. Likewise, I'm finding Hood here is just too fatigued. I mean, I do another attack and I'm going to be shaken. So I'm calling off the attack. Now that's a big deal. I probably shouldn't be doing that. Like, if I really knew everything that was going on, I probably would continue trying to finish First Corps off. But, I don't want to wreck my divisions in this kind of way. Likewise, obviously, McLaws is still resting. Now, for Third Corps, Hill ended up getting an inactive result. I had enough points that I could cure him immediately, but that doesn't do me any good. I can't issue any orders or anything. So Lee is able to actually cure him a little bit more cheaply. It was a horrible roll, double ones. But that basically means for Third Corps, everything's in the cup. Heath is still over here. I can't move him out. McLaws is over there. Both Hood and Johnson from Second Corps have paid to go into an R&R situation. And that'll, start recovering their forces. I'm hoping to be able to get some kind of attack in during the daytime before the end of the day. But, the Confederate Army is really running out of gas on a half-day's battle. You don't see this in any other game, and I find it may be a little too heavy-handed, but in terms of the fatigue hitting too quickly, but it certainly is closer to right than most games, including CWB with its orders, delays and all that, seem to create. Fighting a full day continuously, that's not something that divisions could do. The men would start dropping out of exhaustion and whatnot, especially on a hot day. So I kind of like that any kind of sustained fighting. Now, especially if you're taking hits, you don't fight for hour upon hour upon hour continuously. So at least there are things that this system does that I do really like. I just wish, I don't know. I wish the combat system were simpler. I think using an odds type combat system to get any kind of realism in it, you have to make it really ugly. But I don't know. It's just the fire combat of the other games that I like, I prefer in terms of feel, and they're easier to cope with. It's all that it comes down to. There's way too much just sort of mental mechanisms going on here, mental fiddliness that, you know, when calculating your odds, when trying to figure out whether or not you can attack or whatever, it's just ugly. It's ugly. And then with the amount of randomness, you're not really sure what's going to happen. Now, that, again, that's a good thing. Like, there's a lot in this system to like. I've got to up my rating. I still haven't done that. But it's damn near unplayable as it stands. And there are some areas where I think it's just got real breaking points. The operational integration is horrible. Okay, on to the Union, I guess, and then I'll break. Yeah, I'm feeling more energetic. The problem is, I'm going to go down, I'm going to watch some videos. What am I going to do? What I would normally do is play some Raid. I want to get out of the fucking habit. I want to be able to say, yeah, I'm just done. I'm just done. One thing I think I forgot to mention, as I put Pickett in the direct commands, as I pull back with the Confederate First Corps, Pickett's still in good shape. He's under direct commands. My intention is to shift him over and join the rest of First Corps up here and work its way, you know, possibly to putting a threat on the Union. I don't want to attack here, even though these breastworks aren't complete. I really don't want to hit them. Hitting 12th Corps, it just seems like I'm going to get locked into an ugly fight up there. One that I'm going to gain that ground anyhow. Because they're going to fall back from there. They can't hold this position. Like a line going up here. Kind of the wrong way on Cemetery. See, this is higher ground, though. So fucking weird. I find it so hard to read this map. Like there's higher ground up here over the town, but this ground looks like this is a hill, but then there's no cresting. Like the cliff is going this way instead of this way, right here, and then goes into a kind of a gentle slope upward is what I'm getting from it. Again, it's just the coloration and the choices and everything. I find it very, very difficult to understand this map. I had trouble with the later GBACW, the stuff TSS spawned, games, which also used a lot of color and a lot of different levels. I often have trouble when there's too many levels. One of the nice things, I guess, about CWB is those really garish maps, I can kind of understand what's higher than what. These guys, not so much. It's very, very difficult for me. And I can understand what's what on the line of battle maps. It's a little harder. There's more information being presented. There's no question of that. They're not anywhere near as garish, but the color tones are such that they just work for me better. I don't know why. They should work fine here. You know, this dark orange, this is a high terrain. Getting down, you know, this is probably as low as it gets, I think, maybe down here. But it's like with the roads, like with the slopes, I'm finding it very difficult to distinguish what's what when I try to compare it, especially to an uncolored terrain effects chart. Like the key should be the same material information as is on the map, not try to figure this out as best as you can. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to cover that I've got Pickett moving that way. I'm having real trouble with the Union. They've got so many units, two different, Army commanders essentially, and a trickier situation, to be honest, where they're trying to do different things, where I am throwing these into reserve now to get the extra, to try to recover my points so I don't lose the game right away. Hunting through here, God. So these fucking breastworks counters, it is so hard for me to tell what is built, what is not, and all that kind of shit. And I'm just like, they're close enough in color, and they're not, compare this to the old TSS ones. With a pick and shovel on one side, it's obvious what's going on there, and on the other side, a clear line of what looks like, a breastwork. Here, I've got a mass of men doing something or other, and a mass of men who are working with the pick and shovel. I mean, those are different. These guys are digging, these guys are not. It's just a horrible graphic design choice. And again, this is Rick Barber with many years of experience. Sure, this is earlier in his career than some of the stuff, but still, he was already known as, the Maps graphics guy that a lot of people liked. But just does not hold a candle to Simonson. Not by a long shot, Okay, so what did we do? We did a double move on Wadsworth again. Paying the cost for that. To try to get him out a little quicker. He's back here. Doubleday's over here. I feel like he's close to getting out, so he doesn't need it as much. Plus, he's in worse shape. He's almost broken. Wadsworth is shaken and in bad shape, but he's also in a really terrible location. Again, I don't know that the Confederates' attack is falling away, right? So I have to plan for that. I've put most of 11th Corps on defend orders. I'm planning on stretching out again, trying to help protect. One division is free to move. Merritt is free to move. Beaufort is under direct commands, free to move. Keeping the defensive orders along here. Not here, these are still under dig orders, but 5th Corps coming up here, 3rd Corps up here. Gregg. Kilpatrick, I gave direct orders that allows him, to be a little bit more flexible in his movement. Like I said, throwing these guys into reserve, these guys moving forward. That's about it. I don't have anything on the operational map anymore. Hey, all the Unions on the board. Yeah. And I'm pretty fatigued by this. I think I have to log into RAID a little bit. I've got to tell my clan that I'm probably leaving, but I need to do a few things to make sure that I don't leave like a hole for them. Union saved a couple of points, one under Reynolds and one under the Army of the Potomac. I'm trying to decide if I think I want initiative badly enough to trigger Wadsworth that I'm going to spend these here. I could bank them. Lee didn't have enough points to bank. So that gives me like a +4 on the main initiative roll. And yeah, we get it again. As we go into the noon turn. And then, yeah, I'm going to trigger, I guess, Wadsworth's direct command to try to pull him out. Without the heat, I could move him more fully. I don't know how crowded things are, though. Buford's up there, damn it. I need to be able to get both of them out is the problem. But let's get Wadsworth first. Although Buford is pretty damn important. Yeah, I took directed activations with Wadsworth and with Buford. Got another activation. I went to the cup and that got me Williams, and I'm pull him down a little bit because my defensive line is not exactly where I want it to be. And I'm really feeling discouraged with this game. Like, just in terms of, I mean, all the common factors and everything. It's just so cumbersome to play. I just don't want to, I'm so close to just saying, screw it. Look, I got my men of iron that I can go down and play. I got something else I'm ready to do. And I really feels like it's a foregone conclusion with the damage that the Union's taken already. But it's hard to break away because I do know that for brief moments, I take some enjoyment in the story. I don't know. I guess we keep going. Just this convinces me more and more. I had to spend about an hour playing Raid, right? Even though I'm like trying to quit the game, I'm like, okay, well, I got to put some Hydra numbers up, whatever. And it takes an hour to play one of my big keys in Hydra, and I've got 3 of them I got to fire off. And I've got, other shit that I'm like, yeah. It's just like, I just want to fucking... And the fact that I don't want to play this particularly leads me to, hey, I can go downstairs and I can watch some videos and play some Raid or something like that. That's the common thing that I do, in between turns, whatever. Part of me just says, fucking give this thing up. Anyway, I'll try to keep going a little bit longer at least. Yeah, I just got a Confederate activation. Chose not to do Rhodes or Early, the attacking units, because I don't want to fucking do an attack. I had already moved heirs, and in trying to move units 1 hex and scan through stuff and found some artillery that I hadn't flipped over, I end up bungling some counters. Then over here, I choose to move Pender. Oh, well, I choose to draw from the cup, and it ends up a Pender pull. And again, just pawing through, trying to figure out where everybody's got to go and everything. I just don't have time and will for this shit. So I am quitting. I'm done. There are things I can see in this system, like I said, but it's not for me. Maybe if I hadn't clipped the counters, they wouldn't stumble so much, or if I had clipped them more carefully, so one of the things is rounded corners make stacks more likely to fall over and whatnot. But there's just so much, and I'm not sure I did things right. I'm seeing a lot of shaken units. I'm seeing a lot of artillery that aren't flipped over, and I'm just like, hey, how come Pender's got some shaken units? And then I have to worry about trying to keep the brigades together that I can barely read, okay? Now, well, I'll switch my glasses and see if that makes a significant difference. It does. So, with good eyesight, this works in terms of being able to see the units, but that's seeing the top unit in a stack. The top unit in a stack isn't enough because there's the artillery, and the artillery has different names on them and can be stacked with the infantry differently. It's just, I look at it all and it's just too much trouble. It's too much trouble. Anyway, I had made my decision, regardless of the glasses and whatnot. I've given this a fair shot. I think the Union has lost the battle. I had some views of hey, maybe if I play out another turn, they'll be done at the end of that turn. But they're not going to be. because the Confederates are too worn down to continue their attacks. And then there's the question of, hey, if I throw everything into reserve mode, which isn't a terrible state to be in, I might be able to recover a lot of these points and be in a position that for the second day I can fight another day of battle. I don't know. These are some of the questions that I kind of wanted to answer. But am I willing to play another half day, another month of fairly heavy play to get through that half day and be able to say, okay. You know, there's just never been a time in this game where I felt like, the way I did in TSS, which was this kind of, oh wow, there's a few things happening and that's cool, and the turns are moving really quickly, that helped me get through maybe most of the second day. I don't think I ever finished a game of TSS, to tell you the truth. I might have once, I don't know. Like when I did the walkthrough history, I might have pushed myself to finish it. But before that, I had never gotten through the full of the second day. And this game is far more time-consuming than TSS is, even given the fact that turns are 3 times as long. So the game should act, and it's at the brigade level, supposedly. Although, by breaking the brigades up into non-regiment units, just pieces of the brigade, and ensuring and making it so that if you don't keep those together, you got real problems. It becomes much, much more difficult to cope with than TSS or CWB or anything else that I've done of this kind of tactical gunpowder era. The only game that I remember feeling this horribly the mechanical aspects of the game were such that it was just so horrible to play was Chosen. And that was just like okay, it's a decisions game design. I'm willing to just accept it's a throwaway, basically. I got it for free. I would have never picked it up on my own. But I was intrigued by the idea of a tactical situation of that nature. It just, the actual mechanisms were just, unplayable with the stacking involved here. Here, the stacking's not so bad. And this is why I look at the diffraction games or whatever, the huge World War II that's meant to be kind of a replacement for Europa, but is just like these horrible, huge stacks of units all over the front line. Just a horrible decision in terms of like how to design a game, as far as I could tell. Just like from initial glance, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I mean, maybe Europa's got its issues, but man, you've introduced so much worse. And in this case, sure, this may have achieved more realism overall, I think, than maybe any other tactical Civil War game that I've looked at. But the cost of it is such that player actions are going to introduce, like, the cumbersome nature of the system means that player actions are going to introduce more failure to play by the rules aspects or incidents that are going to drown out any possible gain in historical accuracy you get just trying to deal with this shit. So we're finally going to make the smart decision. Not only are we trying to get out of RAID, we're going to get out of this shit as well. So I'm done. I'm going to load it up. It was, it was kind of interesting seeing that fast convergence of forces. The Union was not fatigued by, moving on the operational map and getting into position on the board really quickly, but by triggering that tripwire. And, to some extent, that tripwire was triggered by actions down here by the Cav trying to prevent Stewart from coming in or something. Such a minor concern comparatively, but the tripwire and the fact that the Union forces were obviously conglomerating in a position that would cut off the Confederate stance made the Confederates come in pretty hard and bring everything on the board at an even faster rate than the Union did. And they were able to hit them and do, I think, more damage. It's kind of hard to tell because, I don't know. I mean, it feels like the Confederates got pretty tired out by doing so, and they're having to fall back. But the biggest level of fatigue is on me. It's to the level where I'm not even willing to make attacks. Like, I don't want to activate the attack units that I allocated. I didn't want to do them even. Part of why I don't want to do them is I'm still attacking a solid line, but I'm eventually going to have to do that. I'm like, okay, if we do a little bit more damage, at some point this Union Army has to break. It's taken a lot of punishment, a hell of a lot of punishment. But if I can't do it in the first day, I may be in a lot of trouble on that second day, because they may have been able to get back most of those points over there in terms of that. In terms of points, yeah, I just don't buy the Confederate, the operational games skewing, giving the Confederates a huge amount of points going into the game if they don't activate quickly. That would work okay if the Confederate Army, if what it was erasing Confederate hits here. I think that would work. What doesn't work is this idea of a perfectly fine Confederate Army that doesn't need to get those, that can bank enough points to guarantee a victory in the game. And I think I've already done that. Like, the Confederates don't need to attack, right? The only thing is, they would love to finish off the Union Army. But as it stands, I just don't see it as being worth my time to keep playing with how much misery this is bringing me. And oh boy, am I happy to be about ready to stop. All right, I'm going to load this up before something convinces me, because it's just dangerous. It's dangerous, man. I look at a game like this and I'm like, but the story. Yeah, fuck the story. I'm glad I took a few days off to play Men of Iron. 18XX couldn't break me of this, but other games on the field, and also, the emotional state that I'm in now. So up it goes.